Hey guys, I'm here to make another tier list. This time it's going to be the Modern Warfare 2 maps. All of them. DLCs 1 and 2 and base game. And looks like this person was kind enough to put things in alphabetical order for me. So let's take a look here. We're going to start off with Afghan. Afghan was a great map, but I'm going to put it in B tier. What's keeping it from A tier? It kind of is stale in that there's there's not a whole lot to maneuver around. I mean, it's like the map keeps moving in a circle. Even on team deathmatch, you go up the hill, you go into that tunnel, you go into the bunkers. Um, that's perfectly fine, and the sight lines are very long, also. So it's not like you can use an SMG easily on this map if you ever wanted to use the P90. But it's certainly better than some of the C and D tier maps. This still plays very well and is a solid Modern Warfare 2 map otherwise. Also, a lot of open area for sniping and air support I've noticed on this map. So take that with how you will. If you're doing those things, it's a great time to snipe or use the LMGs. The LMGs work very well on this map, in my experience. So Afghan is kind of right in the middle here of SA and CD. So some of the maps will be better, some will be worse. So up next is Bailout, the DLC one. I think it was the Stimulus DLC back in the day, and I have this in C. Um, I found this map to be kind of boring. Not a lot of maneuverability. I mean, there were like those two lanes on the left and right of the map. Like one was a long hallway, and one was that building on a lower altitude. And it seemed like that long hallway was just a much better place to play at. Um, Also, like the middle of the map was just this wide open street, which I almost never went down. You almost used it only ever to get to one of those two buildings on the sides, which also gets kind of boring. That runs stale faster than Afghan does. I mean, Afghan in comparison, you can go left, right, and the middle of the map is actually a reasonable option in Afghan with the airplanes and whatnot. You can actually survive for some time. Unlike Bailout, it seems like if you ever went into the middle, you were pretty much a dead man. There was really no point. Um, and that's about it for Bailout. Also, like the ends of the map, it's like not a whole lot of action on the ends of the map, like the two spawn points. You usually almost never had action there, and if you did, it was like you were flanking, and that took forever. That's why Bailout's going in the C tier. So up next is Carnival here. This was part of the, I believe, Resurgence map pack. I have it in D tier. Now, don't get me wrong, I liked playing this map, but it was very it was very slow for 6v6 team deathmatch. There was also seemingly not a lot of maneuverability. I mean, like the entire like on the map on the little thumbnail here, you can see like that main red building is where a lot of the action was, which is fine at first, but that gets stale much more so than Bailout. Like just going along the left and right. This map entirely felt like it always circulated around that one clown building. Um, and every now and then somebody would be on that adjacent like wall with covering in front of them up to their chest, making it just difficult to get in there. But that would also open them up for FMJ kills. To be fair, there was also that spaceship, which, to be honest, was a great addition to the map. Like that's I really like that they added all that verticality, that very long spaceship climb. That was cool, but felt like flanking was very long and very left you in very wide open precarious areas. Like on the one side of the map there's that roller coaster, and out there it's just a grass field pretty much. It's completely open. Felt like there was very little cover if you ever wanted to flank. On the other side it was that wide open street with the carousel, I believe. Not a lot of great flanking opportunities. Always felt like you were unfairly gunned down if you ever wanted to take out an entrenched enemy back there. And like other than that, I enjoyed Carnival. Don't get me wrong, but I imagine if I had gotten the chance to play it Ground War, I would have liked it more. But Team Deathmatch always felt slow and boring. 6v6s. In contrast, the next map here, Crash from Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, brought over by one of the map packs. I have in the A tier. This was a great map. I'm really glad they brought it over from Call of Duty 4. I think back in the day, Robert Bowling wanted this stuff to be free, but nonetheless, you still have to pay for the entire map pack to access this. But Crash was a great map in Call of Duty 4, and as it is in Modern Warfare 2. Um, it always felt like you had both flanks and verticality with as you can see on the thumbnail here, the large building there. You could always overwatch the middle, but the middle you had some decent cover with the airplane and other sight lines from like office buildings and whatnot, and farmers markets and whatever else there was. There was also that long flank on the left side, which was a challenge to get through, but if you were a sure shot, you can get people. Also, there was that very tall building adjacent to the airplane, which granted some verticality. You had some options there. That was great. And overall, Crash was a great map. I'm glad they brought it in. Also ran very well on 6v6s. I think on 9v9 Ground Wars, it's a bit of a mess. I played a little bit of that in Call of Duty 4, but not a lot. But nevertheless, Crash is still one of the better maps of Modern Warfare 2. Up next is Derail. This is one of the first maps we're going to see in the Fuel, Derail, and Underpass category. Excuse me, I have this oriented in the incorrect way. So Derail, Fuel, and Underpass. So these are much too large for 6v6 team deathmatches, and besides that, about Derail on 9v9 Ground Wars, I would put this up in the D category, right there with Carnival, where it's mostly that one building seemingly in the middle of the map, right next to the derailed train that you're pretty much always fighting for. I imagine, domination would be fun if you're trying to go for or defend the B flag. But team deathmatch, this map does not play well. It's very large, very boring. Like Marathon is pretty much a must on this map. It feels like, but other than that, the map. I also found it difficult to see people. Like the snipers would hang out in the buildings and through the windows for whatever reason. It's just very hard to see these dark silhouettes behind those windows, and it always felt unfair. Like I could totally snap onto you and destroy you with my AK or M4 or M16 or whatever, but I just always struggled seeing people. That being said, this map is a pretty good map to get FMJ kills on. There was seemingly always behind cover people were on this map. Also, a great map to snipe on for what it's worth. If you ever wanted to, also that's kind of the problem. Like you're trying to flank people. The match, like, so many times on Team Deathmatch 6v6s, even like we didn't even finish the game officially because one team didn't get to 75 kills first. So it was just lonely and boring and cold. This map does not bring up the best Modern Warfare 2 memories, I must admit. If anything can be done about this map, I don't know, just make it smaller maybe. I don't know, but it seemed like Derail was just a miss of a map. That's not to say that all snow maps are bad. Array and Subbase, Array from Black Ops 1, I should specify, was a great snow map. I like that map a lot because it didn't have you running for just like literally a minute in real life time. You could that's how seemingly how long it would take to go around one of the flanks of this map. That's what keeps Derail back, and it's a real shame. But nonetheless, let's move on to Estate here. I have Estate in B, right there with Afghan. Good, but not quite great map. I like Estate a lot. I seem to always do well on it. Seems like an RPD with Grip and or FMJ would just destroy people on this map. This was a great map for LMGs. A lot of long sight lines, a lot of cover. Pretty great for sniping too. I will say, I did notice when I first started playing Modern Warfare 2 back in 2010. I ran into a problem which I didn't know existed, but like I literally had trouble seeing people on this map because like the Spetsnaz are like they wear seemingly brown or like a dirty red or something like that, and it was just difficult to literally see the enemy on this map. But nonetheless, once I got over that, I realized this map is one of the better ones in Modern Warfare 2. Certainly enjoyable. What I said about LMGs holds well because sometimes it feels like when the enemy team is in the estate itself, the building up on the top of the hill, it can be difficult to kill them, but if you've got a sniper rifle or an LMG and they're just a 2-hit kill, do not count yourself out. You've got a real fighting chance there. I mean, if you're looking at a window and they just show up to it, you can easily double tap them and they're done for. If you've got an RPD or L86, do not so easily count yourself out. One of the problems with the state, of course, is in front of the estate. There's that wide open area, which is just such a pain to move up in. I mean, it's like World War I, where you're just moving across an open field and the other team is so heavily entrenched. It's just suicidal to seemingly move up there. It's from the perspective of like the camera operator from this little thumbnail here. Um, there's a boathouse out there. It seems like that part of the map exists just for you to get shot and chopper gunnered. I mean, I totally sympathize with people not enjoying that part of the map. It can be annoying if you're on the receiving end, and if you're on the giving end, like it's fun at first, but after you play the game for a while, it gets kind of boring where you're just staring down that wide open area and you're just waiting for people to walk into their deaths. Um, it is pretty fun when people break through, though. Like that's fun when they actually, break through the defenses and push into the house. That's fun both on defense and offense because that actually spices up the map. So, state a decent map. I'm putting in the beats here. Now let's talk about Favela here. Favela, I'm without much hesitation, I'm putting in the A tier. I like it a lot. Minor problem for PC players such as myself. This map was taken out of Modern Warfare 2 because uh, of reasons. I will not muddy the waters. I'll let the viewer look into why this map was taken out and put back into Modern Warfare 2. But it was never reinstated in the map rotation of the PC on Steam. So to this day, you cannot play this map anymore. Like it'll just never come up, no matter how long you wait. Like, um, it requires a modded lobby to play Favela again, but it's a great map, close quarters. You can use pretty much any gun you want. There's sniping lanes, there's SMG lanes, shotgun lanes, assault rifles and LMGs work decent enough as well. Favela also a lot of verticality. There's one, two, three, four, like 5 buildings minimum you can move vertically up in, which I like a lot. That adds a lot of variables and changes the map up. All close quarters as well. So this is a very unique map in Call of Duty history. A lot of like multi-storied buildings which you can attack and defend from. That was a great addition to Modern Warfare 2. Really glad this map was in the base game. Um, I I've actually emailed somebody at like Activision, I believe, to ask them to reinstate this map, and they said, sorry, like this game's really old. Like I don't believe we have the technical expertise to even do that, and I guess they also didn't have the time or energy to reinstate Favela ever. I think I emailed them back in like 2016 or something, 2017, and they just never did it. That was like 7 years ago now. My understanding is that all these maps are in like Modern Warfare 3 nowadays, like the second generation Modern Warfare 3, I guess. But I would ask, like, was it really that difficult to reinstate a map back into the map rotation? I mean, it's kind of annoying. But Favela, other than that, a great map, very fun. BSA tier. So next map is Fuel. The next addition to the dreaded derail, fuel, and underpass category. So Fuel is a very large map. It's like the desert version of derail. That's not bad in and of itself, but so often the problem is people camp, and that's just makes for very boring gameplay. It's so rare that we actually ever finished a game on Fuel when I had the DLC turned on. On PC and Steam, there's ironically fewer people playing with DLC than not. You think it'd be the reverse because DLC would ideally weed out more cheaters, but nope, there's actually more people playing without DLC. So back in like 2017, 18, played this map quite a bit. It was always very boring. There are like 2 buildings in the middle of the map, one one left side, one right side. One is obviously much larger than the other and of a higher altitude, so it's obvious you want that one. A lot of FMJ kills can be had on this map. Most of the map seems to be sheet metal, to its credit, but the map is very slow. It's simply too large. Um, that's just holding it back. It, to be fair, like derail and fuel on ground war, I imagine would be very fun. I would probably move them up from this category. But as it stands in team deathmatch, the fuel always gave me this weird feeling of quietness and stillness for like 10 minutes, and it was like it felt like I died and was sitting in purgatory and just waiting for my judgment or something of like, what am I doing with my life? Because it was sometimes so boring and quiet for so long on fuel. I just really didn't like that about it. I don't think video games should make you do that. If you disagree, please leave a comment of why existential dread should be a part of Call of Duty maps. I'd love to hear that one. All right, let's move on to High Rise. Yep, that's right. The first S tier map. This map was incredible. Plays very well. Plays very seemingly fast paced, but not too fast paced, because the sight lines are sometimes long and sometimes short, depending on how you want to play. So you can determine whether you're going to be looking down very long sight lines or medium range sight lines or even a few short sight lines. But this map worked well for every gun type. I remember a very I don't know, like you could get up to the roof, but whenever somebody was up there, it felt like they were literally unbeatable because they could get attack insert and just camp up there with a sniper or whatever, and that was kind of annoying. But nonetheless, this map was very cool, very unique. You could like get on the cranes on the edge of the map. There were also a couple hiding spots with like hiding on the support lifts, like the window washer support lifts over there. Those were cool. I wish Call of Duty had more of that back in the day, but that's what I got. But that's High Rise for you. I have to say, it was possible to like spawn trap people on this map, even in team deathmatch. But I have to, I don't recall ever being spawn trapped. I think once I was spawn trapped. That's about all I recall. But that could lead to a bad experience. But in my time playing Modern Warfare 2, which I think is wrapped up pretty much, the game is pretty much dead, and there's also the RCE exploit, which I don't want to get back into nowadays. Um, but I really liked High Rise. It was a great map. Um, Nonetheless, let's move on to Invasion here. Invasion, I'm going to put in the B tier, which is nothing wrong with that. Invasion is a decent, good map. Um, why don't I say great? Sometimes it was annoying in how I would not. I would struggle with the close quarters. Like somebody could be entrenched in the buildings, the two buildings in the middle of the map, very well, and it seemed impossible to take them out sometimes, just because how easily it was to defend them. Now, when you're defending them, yeah, I'm sure it feels good. Like that's part of the fun of the map. Shotguns work surprisingly well on this map. You could run around the middle of the map and do very well with a striker or AA-12 or what have you. And along the flanks, there were good options too. Decent cover out there. Um, Sometimes it was hard to see people, unfortunately, but nonetheless, Invasion is a very good map. Kind of sucks for air support a little bit. Like people could, I remember, pretty easily hide in buildings if you had a chopper gunner, but pretty good map nonetheless. Invasion. Karachi, I'm gonna put in the C tier. It was never boring like Bailout, but what holds it back is there's like two annoying power spots, and that's the two buildings in the middle of the map by the rubble where B domination would be. There's that sheet metal building where it seems like people, it's the highest point of the map, and it seems like people always have a great shot on you no matter what. I always found it annoying to try to move past them. Like if you ever wanted to like there's no direct flank around them. To flank around them, you seemingly have to go all the way across the map, and I found that to be very difficult to do. Also because like there's no way to go around them. It seems like eventually you're going to be in their sight line, and that's tough. Um, there's also the building in the middle, the mosque, I believe. Which, interestingly enough, I've only late found out that it had a hole in the roof that you could like shoot a predator missile down into and actually get kills. Wish I knew that before like 2020 or something. Before I stopped playing this game. But that building also, it's like there's that doorway which is seemingly a suicide path. Um, you could go in underneath, but by the marketplace, and maybe you'll see the enemy watching the doorway. But in my experience, I almost never did. That was also a poor path. That you could jump up, you could go up the ladder behind the building where you spawn, where the seals spawn. I think you could go up there, and you could like jump up to the the, the walkway there, the catwalk. But I that also rarely worked for me because there's like two different places you could get shot from moving along that catwalk. That was annoying. Um, that's what's holding Karachi back. That one power spot. If somebody's holed up in there, it's very annoying. If you're holed up there, I always found that to be very boring. On the other hand, like I didn't enjoy that building. Also, to be up on that, the map also weirdly played rather slowly. I thought, like the map was like simultaneously large and small. Like the sightlines seem to be all pretty short as long as you're not going out into the street by the minigun out there. But everything else seemed like short sightlines, but it took you a while to get there. Weirdly enough, on Karachi, and that kind of held the map back. But C is a decent place. I wouldn't put it at the same level of fun as Afghan Estate and Invasion here. All right, let's move on to Overgrown. This is a COD 4 map. Um, Grateful for this to be here. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. A decent enough map. Um, I don't really know what to say. It's kind of like the Afghan, but with no like high ground anywhere. It's just grass in place of sand and rocks. Fine enough map. Kind of boring in my opinion for team deathmatch. Maybe ground war would be more fun, but 6v6s seem to always take forever. I mean, you'd go around, you'd run around, and almost never find people. It felt like also a lot of camping in the houses. Unfortunately, that held the map back a little bit, but Overgrown a decent enough map. Quarry, I'm gonna put in the A tier. I always have a great time playing Quarry. Um, Large open sight lines. You could also flank vertically and as well as horizontally. You could always like climb up some of the quarry rocks too. That was always a cool addition. You could always flank people that way. That was cool. Um, there was also a lot of verticality in the largest building. You could like climb up to the top railing and snipe from there. That was cool. I also a little difficult to see people from my point of view. If you're ever trying to kill somebody up there, it's very difficult to spot them. A great power position though. Credit where it's due to Quarry. A lot of sheet metal on this map, so FMJ is a great attachment always on this map. Um, that's about all I have to say for Quarry. Air support worked decent enough. Rundown, I'm going to put in the C tier. Very boring map, decent enough. It felt like you're almost always incentivized to camp in one of the, like, what was it, one, two, three, four buildings that you just shoot with long sight lines from. Perfectly fine to do that, but the map just gets boring after a while. There's like three bridges on the map, and like the one on the smallest bridge is like useful. It's the smallest one. It's least exposed, but it's very annoying to encounter a camper at the building waiting for you. Like the map becomes difficult to flank, so you're almost always best off just camping with an LMG or sniper rifle on this map, which kind of makes it boring after a while. But it's a decent enough map. There aren't any major flaws. It's also cool that you can like run in the river underneath the map to get from one side to the other. That was nice. It's like a sub level beneath the map that few maps have. So credit where it's due to Rundown. So up next is Rust. Rust is a fine enough map like to play as a joke, but as an actual like one where you want to get kills and kill streaks. Kind of a joke. You seemingly always get grenaded and noob tubed and rocketed relentlessly on this map. Not a lot of fun. Weirdly, a lot of hidey holes on Rust. I don't know why there are so many, but okay, I guess. Like in the middle, actual rusted out building there's like seems like three different hidey holes. I don't know why. Air support would destroy people on this map. I think I got like 60 kills one time, or like I want to say like 20 or 30 kills from a chopper gunner on demolition on this map. It was completely insane. I think that was a modded lobby too, so it was a 9v9 Rust, which is a complete joke. But I guess if you, it's like eating sugar for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, that's fine, but eventually that's gonna get that's gonna get old and boring. Rust, other than that, 1v1s is of course a meme pretty much in the Call of Duty community. You have a lot of fun doing that. Just quick scoping on there. Up next is Salvage. I'm going to put it in the B tier. Fun enough map, fun enough flanking. A snow map that's actually good. I don't want to trash dog derail and thereby ruin all snow maps. I enjoyed Salvage. Not a lot of annoying sightlines. Um, Felt like you were never too incentivized to camp, although there were those two main buildings where people would camp. But I didn't encounter those problems very much in my time playing um, Salvage here, excuse me. Up next is Scrapyard. I'm going to put in the B tier alongside these. A decent enough map. Why not in the A category? This map can be very hectic. You seemingly run anywhere, and on 6v6s even. I don't know if I don't recall if this map you'd play ground war, but I imagine it's even worse. But you seemingly struggle so hard to just leave your like 10 meters of your spawn without getting destroyed in three different directions, which gets annoying after a while. Like if you don't play this map very often, you'd probably have it in the A tier, but after a while, that starts to grow on you. There was a cool little spot underneath one of the rusted out airplane fuselages where if you hide underneath it, you can like crouch underneath it and hide pretty decently. Like nobody ever checks there. That was kind of cool. Four buildings, all kind of the same. I don't think any other map does that, right? I think there are like buildings in the north, south, east, and west, and pretty unique. Certainly one of the more unique geometries or Scrapyard has. Credit where it's due. And you have a decent enough time playing it. You can use sniping. I don't think I've ever actually done it on Scrapyard. It seems like a waste of time. It seems like SMGs and shotguns were always the way to go on Scrapyard. So a fun time for that. Skid Row, I have in the S tier. I believe Skid Row is one of the best Modern Warfare 2 maps. I always enjoyed running around the halls and the building there in the middle and wrecking people. There were annoying parts of it where you could camp at the buildings at the back, but like especially the building out in the open, not by the playground, but by the dock. It seems that building is literally unassailable, so that can be annoying. But otherwise, that 90% of the time I didn't run into that problem, and I always had a really phenomenal fun time on Scrapyard. I don't know what it is about this map, but it was always just very conducive to getting close range kill streaks. I enjoyed Skid Row a lot. I am sad to be saying goodbye to Modern Warfare 2 after all these years, but it was fun. All right, so Storm, I'm going to put in the B category. Kind of a forgettable map. Same with Salvage, kind of forgettable. I mean, the DLC maps you think are better, but Storm was unique in that it had like little slots in the middle building. Also unique in that it's a rain map that is actually very good relative to the other rain map we'll get to in a minute. Some verticality, decent flanking. All this makes for a good map, but what keeps it from being great like these three is that there's not a lot of excitement past that. Other than that, Storm, I feel comfortable putting at the same level as these other maps. All right, so that's part one. I am going to have to split this into two parts, given Microsoft Clip Champ, which I'm recording with. So stay tuned and stick around for part 2 in a second here. All right, so continuing with part 2 here where we left off, let's talk about, um, let's see, Strike here. I have Strike in the A tier. Another Call of Duty 4 map brought into Modern Warfare 2. Thank you for that. Um, very good map, a lot of fun, seemingly large, but the flanks were always reasonable to do. It didn't feel like people were ever incentivized to camp on this map, which is good. There is that large building overlooking like the mosque area, which incentivizes camping, but I never felt like that was such an insurmountable spot, leading to frustration. So credit where it's due to Strike here. Um, there are also weirdly like some useless parts of the map. There was like that cafe. You almost never went there. There's also like that up that hill by the cafe. There's also just that open area. Why was that ever there? I don't get it. That was weird, but Strike, other than that, seemingly very little flaws. It was always fun to play Strike. Good times. I only wish more Call of Duty 4 maps were brought into this game. Moving on to Subbase, I also have in the A tier. This might be higher than most people. Most people might have this in the B tier, but I always liked Subbase a lot. It was there's like 3 like flanking routes in the middle. There's like the dark underneath the building, like Z shaped flank, like the middle of the map. There's the control building at the one end, which is a powered position. You can go up top on the highest level and overwatch a great deal of the map. There's also that other seemingly like what submarine holding area or something, but pretty good times nonetheless. Something weird about Subbase is that like in team deathmatch anyway, like the teams never spawn where I think the Spetsnaz spawn in. Like you just spawn there once and you never go back there. So this map on team deathmatch is weirdly underutilized. I don't know why, but almost all the fighting goes on where I've described by the actual submarines out there and by the actual control building and like underneath passageway and the holding station. Kind of weird, but I nevertheless had a fun time playing Subbase all the time. A snow map that I enjoyed. Um, it was also actively snowing on this map, unlike Derail, where it just stopped snowing a while ago. But Subbase, great map. Moving on to Terminal here. I have Terminal in S. It is among one of the best maps in Modern Warfare 2, if not all of Call of Duty. This map was interestingly brought back in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, just 2 years later. A bit of a shame it was the only Modern Warfare 2 brought into that game. Oh, brought in Modern Warfare 3 for free, I should say. So thank you for that. It was just added to the base game. Terminal, a lot of great sight lines you could watch down. Multiple options you can move around in. If you go outside, you could see multiple directions. You could see the plane, the long hallway you could see from the balloon that popped out the plane, which you go up. You could also see like back into the airport, like first level by the escalators. Um, Interestingly, the map, like where one of the factions spawn in, I think it's the Americans, the U.S. Army Rangers, like where you go through the metal detectors. That's never used, much like on Subbase. It's just forgotten. You go there just to like call in your chopper gunner or AC-130 or whatever. But Terminal, great map. You could like the flanks were never unforgiving. There was always seemingly a lot of cover to flank around. The airplane can be kind of annoying, admittedly, if somebody's holed up in there. And the thing about the terminal is like every row of seats you could hide behind, so you don't quite know where somebody's going to be until they poke their head out or they're already there, which can be annoying to push up into because you can't really stun or flash effectively from the angle the developers give you, which I guess is fine. but the only ways into the airplane are through the passenger entrance, as you and I are very familiar with. There's that balloon out there on the side of the plane, um, which kind of depending. I don't know. There's pluses and minuses to all three of these. There's also that ladder at the back of the plane for, I guess, emergency aircraft or emergency exits. Um, but other than that, terminal, great map. Besides, some people can be annoyingly entrenched in the plane. Something unique about the plane is that you could actually go into the cockpit and shoot from there. That was a very unique addition. I think this is everybody's first experience with shooting out of the cockpit of a plane. Great map, terminal. Moving on here to Trailer Park. This is a Resurgence map pack. I have it in A. I like this map a lot. Small, close quarters map, much like Skid Row, it reminded me of. Didn't have the verticality of Favela, but still good. A lot of sheet metal on this map. I think every trailer park is made of sheet metal, so if a great FMJ map, it was always satisfying to shoot that one power position seemingly out of the pink trailer with FMJ and just destroy them easily. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I thought they were safe, but they really weren't. That was a great addition. The flanking was never so annoying. I don't think I flanked very much on that large street by the swimming pool on this map very much. That can be annoying, but I almost never did that. So to be fair, your experience might be different from mine. The middle of the map I always found to be the most fun and hectic. There was also that choke point along the middle of the map that people just spawn under that shed over there and turn that corner, and you can pretty much shoot them like fish in a barrel. That was always a lot of fun. I really like Trailer Park a lot. It was a great time. Good memories from this map. All right, moving on to Underpass. This is going to finish off our Derail, Fuel, and Underpass tier list. Now, Underpass, my only problem with it is its poor visibility. Maybe I'm genuinely the only person who has a problem with this, but I cannot see people well at all on this map. People just blend into the grayness of Underpass. It always bugged me. Maybe if this was remade and during the life cycle of Modern Warfare 2 into being like a daytime or even overcast map that wasn't raining as much, I would like it more, because other than that, it plays fine. It plays fun and everything. There's three main paths. You could kind of go under that bridge in the middle. That was cool. Similar to Rundown. That added a level of verticality. This map is otherwise fun to play, but I always vote to skip it. Or back in the day, I always voted to skip it because I just was annoyed at the thought of somebody shooting me from far away and I just can't see them. Even if they're not sniping, if they're having an assault rifle or LMG, they'll seemingly see me, but I'm like, where are you? Oh, it was because they're camping that sight line and they saw me apparently. But I do not have the same, I guess, color differentiation on as other people do. I don't know. Otherwise, I would have Underpass in B or something. It was a perfectly fine playable map, but very difficult to see people. Now, Vacant here. I have it in the A tier. Another COD 4 map. The last COD 4 map. A lot of fun, close quarters. This is like a just as fun Skid Row, quite honestly. You know what? Why don't I move this up into S tier? I enjoyed this Vacant a lot. Yeah, I'm moving it up to S tier. This was a COD 4 map. Very fun, close quarters. SMGs and shotguns would rule the day, it felt like. I enjoyed it a lot. The thing is, this was a COD 4 map, so they didn't so much plan for the air support of Modern Warfare 2. That should be noted. Most of the map takes place indoors in that actual office building, which nobody lives in anymore. So Harriers would, unless you've got the team spawning out there, your Harriers is going to have a bit of a tough time. There were weirdly holes in the roof for Predator missiles, so I don't know if I didn't play this map much in COD 4 of the little COD 4 I have played to know if that was there, but credit where it's due, that was a creative addition. otherwise, a very fun map. I enjoyed Vacant a lot. Wasteland, our last map, and I also have this in the S tier. I've almost always have a good time playing Wasteland. This might be higher than most of you have it as, but I always enjoyed the long sight lines. You could always snipe very well on this map. You could always use LMGs and assault rifles well on this map if you like shoot from, as long as you're not using F2000, which was a massive joke. But like seemingly, this map seems like it's much larger than it is, but in my experience, it never was that large. Or maybe I'm just a better shot than average, but I always felt this map was a quick action. You don't have a lot of like boring camping going on. Now, to be fair, yeah, you're mostly just holding the middle trench as long as you can, which it's like a rotating circle of spawns around you in there. Like every now and then, somebody will try to flank around and they'll change the spawn, which is fun. It adds to the map, but in a somehow better way than Afghan. Like I said, the same thing about Afghan. Like the map flows in a circular way where you're moving clockwise or counterclockwise always, and almost never through the middle. It felt like, but Wasteland was somehow better. I don't know why, but I always just had a great time on Wasteland. It felt like I think Wasteland is smaller than Afghan, so that made it a little more fun. Every now and then, snipers would be annoying on Wasteland because every now and then snipers would camp in one of the buildings that overlooks the trenches, and it felt like you could never beat them because they're obscured so well. But if you ever get Harriers or a Predator missile on this map or a chopper gunner, oh my lord, so many tactical nukes I've gotten from Wasteland, I think. What a fun time. I mean, there's wide open areas, nowhere to hide, and on the receiving end, I don't think I've been on the receiving end of very many chopper gunners on Wasteland. I think I've given out more than I've taken, so my point of view might be skewed here. But nonetheless, I always had a great time on Wasteland. I miss these maps just talking about them. That looks like it's. Oh, I would like to say something. Some of the I notice most of these reference something from the campaign of Modern Warfare 2, but I notice some of these don't. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but like especially the Resurgence map pack and whatnot, like the DLCs, they don't reference anything in the campaign. I noticed, like Trailer Park never in the campaign. Storm, where was this in the campaign? Salvage, where was this in the campaign? Same with Bailout and Crash. Well, Bailout, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with the Arcadia mission. But Carnival, I don't think ever occurred in the campaign. So I guess this was just Infinity Ward's attempts to bring in original ideas that were not in the campaign into the game. Now, to be fair, Skid Row also, Los Angeles was not featured in the campaign, but it was a great map nonetheless. I'm not holding this against it. I'm just noticing that after all these years, some of these maps were not relevant to the campaign of the game, but that's perfectly fine. Nonetheless, that I think is going to wrap up my part 2 of my Modern Warfare 2 map tier list. If you want to debate whether I'm being a little too harsh or a little too lenient on some of these, I'd love to hear your opinions here. Maybe you've had different experiences on some of these maps than I have, but like Carnival and Rust, I mean, maybe you've had better experiences, but I always found those to be kind of a waste of time. I mean, Rust, maybe if it was like a 4v4 would be manageable, but 6v6, I'm keeping it in the D tier. The map was a massive joke. Kind of like Nuketown was a massive joke, but we all still like it. I mean, I like Rust. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting in the D tier because I didn't like it, but just relative to trying to have a good time in Modern Warfare 2, it was kind of impossible to do that, or very difficult to do that on Rust. But otherwise, I'm open to your feedback. Go ahead and leave a comment if you've got something to say, and have a great day out there. Thanks for watching.